All right, good morning. There's a few people still joining the webinar, but we're going to go ahead and get started. This is the April 2024 Colorado River Basin Water Supply Briefing from the Colorado Basin River Forecast Center. I'm Cody Mosier, hydrologist at CBRFC. And here's what we're going to cover today. First, starting with soil moisture conditions entering the spring runoff season. Take a look at precipitation over the past several months, and then what are April 1st snowpack conditions looking like, and then dive into our April 1st water supply forecast across the upper Colorado River Basin as well as the lower Colorado River Basin. Look at the typical error associated with our April 1st water supply forecast, and then take a look at upcoming weather over the next 1 to 2 weeks. And we'll take questions if there are any at the end. So we do record these webinars and post the recording and the slides available on our webpage, and those will be up later today. All right, so right into fall 2023 hydrologic model soil moisture conditions. So we spend a lot of time in the fall, specifically around November 1st through the middle of November, taking a look at our hydrologic model soil moisture conditions and making the adjustments to those if necessary. And we use a variety of data sets, including base flow conditions, reservoir inflows, July through October precipitation, as well as past season runoff conditions to make adjustments to our model soil moisture conditions if we need to. And these are important because they do have an impact on the water supply forecast that we issue. So taking a look at the upper Colorado and lower Colorado River Basin soil moisture conditions, the graphic on the left here. So starting in the lower Colorado River Basin, you can see some reds, oranges. So those are indicative. If you look at the legend here, this is as a percent of average. So lower Colorado River Basin soil moisture conditions were below normal heading into the winter. And as we make our way north into southwest Colorado, below normal soil moisture conditions, kind of in the Four Corners area, San Juan, Dolores River basins, as well as the southern Gunnison Basin, and continuing up into the northern Gunnison and Colorado River headwaters. Soil moisture conditions there near normal entering the winter and spring runoff seasons. And then further north into the upper Green River Basin, you see start seeing some blues. So those 110 to 130%, so above normal soil moisture conditions at the very northern part of the upper Colorado River Basin. So again, as snow melt starts to occur, how are soil moisture conditions factored in? Well, areas such as the upper Green, those northern areas with above normal soil moisture conditions, those have a positive impact on the water supply outlook. We would expect to have increased runoff efficiency in those areas with above normal soil moisture conditions. So more of that water melts off as snow or even falls as rain. We would expect more of that water to make it into the streams as well as reservoir inflows. Whereas areas with below normal soil moisture conditions, so southwest Colorado, as well as the lower Colorado River Basin, more of that water would be going into the soils and fulfilling those soil moisture deficits before making it into the streams. But it really comes down to snowpack conditions, spring weather, and soil moisture conditions shown here. When we're looking at the timing and the magnitude of the runoff. So that's a broad overview of our soil moisture conditions we're looking at. Now into precipitation summary, starting with this past month, March 2024. So active weather continued into March, and that made it the third consecutive month that we had near to above normal precipitation across the region. So a couple of graphics here, starting with the one on the left. This is showing monthly precipitation. This is for all areas that we model. And then the graphic in the middle it's the same data, it's just trimmed to those highest elevation, major contributing areas that contribute most to spring runoff. So you can see lots of blues again, those are telling us above average March precipitation. In most cases, there's a table on the right here that breaks it down by different areas above Lake Powell at the top here. So about 130% of average March precipitation above Lake Powell. And you can find your basin of interest here. We break it down by the Green River Basin and then sub-basins there, Colorado River headwater, Southwest Colorado, as well as the lower Colorado River Basin. You can see all these numbers in the middle column here. Pretty much all of them above 100%, the exception being the Virgin River Basin. This is that area down in Southwest Utah here. That basin had a little bit less than 100% of average March precipitation, but everywhere else, greater than 100%, many cases or most cases greater than 125% of normal. So it was another good active weather month in March. And I mentioned it was the third consecutive month with near to above average precipitation. So here we're looking at, this is looking at NRCS SNOTEL stations with at least 30 years of record. And we're looking at these couple different ways. So I recognize these values are probably a little bit tough to see here, but there are links here if you want to explore these data sets a little bit more. But starting on the left here, we're looking at January through March precipitation as a percentile. So most SNOTEL sites came in above the 70th percentile over the last 3 months for precipitation. And the middle graphic, this is showing how they rank. And you'll notice a lot of these dark blues, that's indicating January through March precipitation that ranked in the 10 wettest. And then on the far right graphic here, this is zoomed in to the upper Colorado River Basin. This is looking at any SNOTEL sites that recorded the highest or the second highest January through March 2024 precipitation. So a few SNOTEL sites showing up here, specifically in the Uintas area, as well as the White Yampa, as well as South Central Utah. So again, some links provided here. You can check those data sets out if you'd like to. Here we're looking at water year 2024 precipitation. So this would be October through March, basically the last 6 months of precipitation as a percent of average. So we did start off pretty slow. October through December precip was below to well below average. So January 1st weren't looking great in terms of the water supply outlook. But again, the last 3 months near to above normal. And now just looking at this last column on the table on the right, you can see October through March precipitation as a percent of average, kind of right around that 100% in most cases. Across the upper Colorado River Basin, as well as the lower Colorado River Basin. So generally a little bit above 100 until you get down to kind of the Four Corners area as you move into the Dolores and San Juan, right around 90% of average water year precipitation. Again, the graphics shown here are the same graphics from one of the previous slides. This is all areas that we model, and then it's trimmed in the middle graphic here to those areas that contribute most to spring runoff. All right, so right into snowpack conditions. This is a review of April 1st SWE or snow water equivalent conditions across the upper Colorado River Basin. So the graphic on the left here, this is showing SWE conditions as a percent of median. And you'll notice same color scheme here with the blues into the purples, indicating above normal snowpack conditions on April 1st. And anything into the yellows and oranges would be indicating below normal soil moisture conditions. And a similar table here in the middle, breaking it down by sub-basin. So above Lake Powell, you can see back on March 1st, sitting about 97% of normal. April 1st, about 113% of normal. And these are our model SWE conditions. So you can see where we're at March 1st, April 1st, everywhere had a positive change when it comes to comparing snowpack conditions as a percent of normal. So again, above normal March precipitation led to increases in snowpack conditions on April 1st. And kind of near normal again, April 1st snowpack conditions. There are a few areas, including the Yampa White, so this area here, northwest Colorado, as well as the Duchesne, Uinta Mountain Range area into, as you move into central Utah, with the best snowpack conditions at 120 to 150% of normal, whereas most other areas kind of in that 100 to 110% of normal. So again, they improved during March, range anywhere from 95 to 150% of normal on April 1st for snowpack conditions. So here we're just taking a little bit closer look at snowpack conditions and how they've progressed since the beginning of the water year. So starting on October 1st, again, we did the first 3 months were drier than normal. So we were just sitting about 60% of normal snowpack conditions above Lake Powell on January 1st. And again, it's been a pretty steady increase since January 1st. February 1st, we were sitting about 80% of normal. March 1st, about 95% of normal. And currently sitting a little bit above 100% of that 1991 through 2020 normal SWE above Lake Powell. So again, a pretty wet last 3 months, taking us kind of right around normal for snowpack conditions on April 1st above Lake Powell. All right, so here we're looking at an overview of our April 1st water supply forecast across the Upper Colorado River Basin. This slide is a broad overview. We'll get a little bit more into specifics in following slides. But again, we're breaking it down by sub-basin here, starting at Lake Powell, or April 1st. Water supply forecast 5,700 CAF. CAF stands for 1,000 acre feet, which is 89% of normal. And again, we're forecasting in April through July volume. So the best conditions are on those areas with better snowpack conditions. So again, the Duchesne, White Yampa, kind of those central areas, water supply forecasts are near to above normal. But as you move north and south into the Upper Green, and especially southwest Colorado, is where we start to see below normal April 1st water supply forecast. Again, soil moisture conditions are below normal down there, so those are driving things lower. With again the best conditions across the central portion of the Upper Colorado River Basin. Worst conditions again, kind of in that 65 to 80% range as you move into the Dolores, San Juan, and Gunnison River Basins in southwest Colorado. So the same graphic on the left here, these triangles, every point we provide a water supply forecast for, color coded by the percent of average. In the right graphic here, this is our Lake Powell evolution plot for our water supply forecast. So you can see we do issue forecast at Lake Powell at the beginning of the month, as well as an update in the middle of the month. So you can see how things have trended since January 1st, again, in the positive direction due to that above normal precipitation over the last 3 months. So here we're looking at 5,700 calf or 5.7 million acre feet for our most probable April through July volume into Lake Powell. And these are probabilistic water supply forecasts, so we provide a range of values. A wetter scenario would be up here. This would be the volume that has a 10% chance of being exceeded. And our April 1st value there is 8.3 million acre feet. And then on the low end here, this would be the volume that has a 90% chance of being exceeded. In this case, 4.4 million acre feet. And it is worth noting that there is a 10% chance the observed volume, if we really dried out, it would come in below this 4.4 million acre feet value. So a 10% chance of being below that value and a 10% chance of being above this 8.3 million acre feet value. So you can see the range there. And our water supply forecast evolution plots, there's a lot of information in the header. What was the official April 1st forecast, and then we do run our model every day. So these get updated every day. You can see this graphic is from yesterday. So our yesterday's model run a little bit higher, but still right around that April 1st forecast value. Now taking a closer look at the Upper Green River Basin, this is in southwest Wyoming. This is looking at the area above Flaming Gorge Reservoir. So what we're showing on this graphic on the left here, these triangles, this is every water supply forecast that we issue. The shaded areas that are shown on this map, this is our April 1st hydrologic model snow as a percent of normal. Again, the same color scheme here, so kind of near normal in the headwaters, and then as you move south, snowpack conditions get a little bit better on the north slope of the Uintas. So you can reference that snowpack conditions compared to our water supply forecast. And then looking at the Flaming Gorge water supply forecast evolution plot in the upper right here, we're forecasting 960,000 acre feet, which is 99% of average. And again, things have trended up since January, February, due to wetter than average weather. And then the lower right, we're showing snowpack conditions above Flaming Gorge for the water year and how those compare to last year. This is last year shown in this green color. Normal is the light blue, and then 2024, the current year, is the darker blue color. So above Flaming Gorge on January 1st, sitting just at 53% of normal, but early April snowpack conditions kind of right around normal above Flaming Gorge. Now moving into the White Yampa River Basin, our forecast here ranging anywhere from 100 to 115% of average. We're showing the Yampa at Deer Lodge Park here with the water supply forecast evolution plot in the upper right, forecasting 113% of average at that location. And then you can see again the snowpack conditions in the Yampa River Basin shown in the lower right here, sitting right around 120% of normal currently. Here we're looking at the Colorado River headwaters. So this runs from Granby down to Cameo. Forecast range here is 90 to 120% of average. Pretty variable snowpack conditions, better kind of up top in the headwaters, and then not quite as good as you move downstream towards Cameo into the Roaring Fork. So we're looking at the Cameo water supply forecast in the upper right, forecasting 2180 calf, which is 96% of average. It's a little bit more than 2022, but nowhere near 2023. You can see tracking quite a bit lower than last year, currently 105% of normal for snowpack conditions above Cameo, which is an increase from 7% that we were seeing back on January 1st. Into the Gunnison River Basin, so making our way south across western Colorado. Our forecast here ranging anywhere from 60 to 105% of average. Blue Mesa Reservoir circled here on the map. We're looking at the water supply forecast and the snowpack conditions. So again, we mentioned this last month, but you'll notice above normal snowpack conditions above Blue Mesa. And then as you make your way kind of around the Gunnison, the North Fork of the Gunnison, conditions aren't quite as good there, as well as the southern part of the Gunnison. This would be the Uncompahgre River. Again, not doing quite as well as the portion of the Gunnison along the Continental Divide. So our April 1st forecast at Blue Mesa is 600,000 acre feet, which is 94% of average. And you can see the gains during March and the snowpack above Blue Mesa, 109% of normal back on March 1st, and now about 114% of normal early April. And now into the Dolores River Basin. So our forecast here, 55 to 80% of average. And again, these areas have some of the worst soil moisture conditions. So we would expect decreased runoff efficiencies in these areas, more so than those northern areas. We're looking at the McPhee Reservoir evolution plot in the upper right here. April 1st forecast, 200,000 acre feet, which is 78% of average. And then about 115% of average for the snowpack conditions above McPhee. So again, while we do have a little bit above snowpack conditions, forecasting just about 78% of average, again, due to those below average soil moisture conditions, leading to decreased runoff efficiencies down in southwest Colorado. And then into the San Juan River Basin, forecasting 65 to 80% of average for April 1st water supply forecast across the San Juan River Basin. Navajo Reservoir circled here, forecasting 420 calf, which is just 67% of average inflow into Navajo Reservoir for that April through July period. Snowpack conditions right around normal here, and you can see much lower than last year at this time. All right, so now that we've covered water supply forecast on April 1st across the upper Colorado River Basin, here we're looking at how well our forecasts typically verify for that April 1st forecast. And again, we're forecasting in April through July volume for the upper Colorado River Basin. So the graphic on the left here, this is the typical percent air associated with our April 1st water supply forecast. So we're looking for blues into the purples. That would be lower air. There's the table in the upper right here, just with about 5 or 10 points we're showing. So typically looks like about a 15 to 20% forecast air for April 1st forecast across the upper Colorado River Basin. So the air associated with our forecast tends to decrease each month of the spring. That's because we know more about snowpack conditions. The biggest source of forecast uncertainty is future weather. So It's an April through July forecast, so we still have 4 months of mostly unknown how the weather is going to play out. So that's the biggest source of forecast uncertainty. And we do, our water supply forecast error is lower in areas that are better gauged and where we know more about diversions, water demands, and those headwater areas. We typically do better than lower elevation areas where we know less about diversions that are taking place in real time that we don't have data for. So that's a good way to think about looking at forecast error associated with a forecast is, the gauge density. Do we know what's going on in real time with some of the diversions, or don't we? It really does impact our modeling and our forecast error. All right, so now we're gonna jump into the lower Colorado River Basin water supply outlook, starting with a look at the El Nino Southern Oscillation, or ENSO status. So currently there's an El Nino advisory and a La Nina watch. So we've been, this winter, it was an El Nino winter. You can see the graphics on the bottom left, what to expect with a typical El Nino winter, typically wetter conditions across Arizona and much of the lower Colorado River Basin, whereas a La Nina, which is in the forecast, would it's related to drier winter weather across the lower Colorado River Basin. This data is from the Climate Prediction Center, and it's a bit dated. The last update was mid-March. So again, about a 62% of a La Nina developing by June, August. You can see that in the graphic in the upper right here. So right now in a El Nino, and then gonna transition to ENSO neutral, and then by that June, July, August period, about a 62% chance of a La Nina developing. In the graphic in the lower right here, showing the models that are used to make these types of predictions. So sea surface temperatures above normal, El Nino conditions, and then trending into La Nina territory in the long term. And a bit more on this past winter El Nino. So here's a summary. This was a write-up that we came across. It was published, I think, about a week ago over at NOAA's climate.gov website. Pretty interesting. So they look at the pattern that is expected based on past El Ninos. This is shown in the upper left. So you can see areas that are typically wetter than normal, which is that Arizona, lower Colorado River Basin area, and then how it actually, this is December, January, February, what actually happened. So you can see the far southern portion did come in wetter than normal, but it's a bit hard to see on the graphics on the left, the states and stuff. But this is a graphic on the right that's zoomed in into the Arizona area. And you can see, yeah, southern Arizona did come in above average for that December through February period, but kind of those water supply, those higher elevation areas across central Arizona, the Verde, the Salt, the Little Colorado, those didn't come in wetter than average. Even some areas were drier than average for this past winter, December through February period. So again, there's an article out there. That's a good write-up if you're interested in learning more about how this past winter, how the El Nino played out compared to how they usually play out. So check that out if you're interested. And then into our lower Colorado River Basin, water supply forecast. So in the lower Colorado River Basin, there's about a dozen points that we provide a water supply forecast for, and these are January through May water supply forecast. So it's a different forecast period than that April through July in the upper Colorado River Basin, just due to different climate down there. So the forecasts are ranging anywhere from 55 to 130% of normal. And when we're talking about normal, we typically look at the percent of median. So you can see that 55, that's in the Little Colorado River Basin here, this red triangle, and then those bluer triangles kind of scattered across central and southeastern Arizona into western New Mexico. So some locations up to that 130% of normal. So these did improve during the last month due to, again, March precipitation coming in above normal. Taking a little bit closer look at, this is in the Salt River Basin, Roosevelt Reservoir circled on the map here, the green triangle. So in the upper left, this is how the snowpack has evolved this year. So there was a peak kind of mid-April, and then we melted some off kind of through mid-March, and then we did accumulate some more snow during March. Got some rain and snow down there. So current snow conditions are kind of right around where they were last year at this time, shown in this green time series here. So the evolution plot for a water supply forecast in the upper right. So we do take into account those ENSO conditions, whether it's an El Nino or La Nina. So because it was an El Nino, we were assuming wetter than normal conditions as we were putting out our January and February water supply forecasts. It didn't really, January was kind of near to below normal in this area, and then February and March came in above normal. So you can see how things have trended up. And then because this is a January through May forecast period, we can come January 1st or 2nd, we start showing the observed volume that's actually coming into this location. The current observed value is this dashed orange line. We provide this information up here in the header. So about 135,000 acre feet currently observed, and that is about half of what we are forecasting, about 270,000 acre feet. And the lower right here showing how the stream flow has come in since January 1st. So an event here late January, and then in March saw some rain, snow melt, rain on snow, and then you can see the forecast there at the end. So here we're looking at the 7-day precipitation forecast. So we've had high pressure in place over the region the last several days, warmer, drier, sunnier weather. So starting today, we're going to get a weather system moving through the area, which is going to bring some precipitation and cooler temperatures to the area. So this graphic on the right, this is the daily precipitation forecast for the next 7 days. So in the upper left here, this would be the precipitation forecast this morning through tomorrow morning. So it's the most widespread precipitation, the day with the most precipitation coverage in the next 7 days. And then tomorrow, expecting more across those northern areas, and then kind of scattered precipitation this weekend. And then come next week, so day 6, this would be Wednesday and Thursday. We are expecting drier and warmer than average conditions by the middle of next week. And we're expecting that to continue into mid-April. And then the lower right here, this is the 7-day total. So across the highest elevation areas across the upper Colorado River Basin, anywhere from 0.25 inches to 3/4 of an inch, with inch plus possible in some areas. Less precipitation forecast across the lower Colorado River Basin. So that's the 7-day outlook for the precipitation forecast. And then this is looking at that 8 to 14-day period. So this would be April 12th through the 18th. And these graphics are showing the probability of precipitation coming in near, above, or below normal for that period. You can see the precipitation outlook on the left. Most of the western US expecting near normal precipitation, but the graphic on the right here really stands out when we're looking at the temperature outlook for that 8 to 14-day period. So it's looking likely that we're going to see above average temperatures. Again, looks like it's going to start middle of next week and continue into mid-April. So we would expect warmer, drier, sunnier weather during that period, generating snowmelt. So in summary, again, the last 3 months, near to above normal precipitation, so much improved conditions compared to where we were at on January 1st. And across the upper Colorado River Basin, soil moisture conditions, again, those northern areas near above average, so higher runoff efficiencies expected up there, whereas southern areas, as you can see on the graphic on the right here, southwest Colorado, below average soil moisture conditions, so decreased runoff efficiencies expected down there. April 1st snowpack conditions generally right around normal, some higher numbers in central Utah, so that would be kind of that Price, San Rafael area. Our April through July volume forecast, pretty wide range there. Lower values, again, southwest Colorado, with better conditions across the central portion of the upper Colorado River Basin. So for the lower Colorado River Basin, soil moisture conditions were below normal. So we did see that impact some of the runoff efficiencies earlier this season, where we got some rain and snowmelt that just didn't produce some of the runoff numbers that we would see if we had above normal soil moisture conditions. It was a drier than normal El Nino across those water supply areas. So El Nino was pretty good in far southern Arizona, but in central Arizona, again, near to even a little bit below normal in some of those areas when it comes to winter weather. And the forecast there ranging 55 to 130% of normal. In the 7-day precipitation forecast, so those highest elevation areas, again, higher amounts expected across the upper Colorado River Basin, with most of the precipitation falling in the next 2 days. Less expected across the lower Colorado River Basin, and then expecting things to dry out and warm up starting the middle of next week through mid-April. So a little bit different subject here. This is peak flow forecast. So we do issue peak flow forecasts for the points shown on these maps here. So this information is available on our webpage. We provide this information a couple different ways. So the graphic on the left, we're showing our peak flow forecasts as a percent of average. And again, they do line up pretty closely to current snowpack conditions. So central areas expecting peak flows to be kind of near to above average, and then those northern and southern areas, peak flow forecast currently below average. So that's as a percent of average, and then we also provide the peak flow forecast as a percentile, which is shown on the graphic on the right. So these, the points shown on these maps, these are the locations that we provide peak flow forecasts on a daily basis, similar to our ESP or water supply model guidance that we issue every day. And there's also about a dozen points on main stem downstream of significant upstream regulation that we update about twice a month. So again, that's on our webpage if you're interested in exploring that more. All right, so we do, in addition to this webinar, if you're interested in learning more about water supply conditions in Utah, Great Basin area, we also put on a webinar same day, so it'll be at 11:30 a.m. later this morning. And then we do have one more of these scheduled in May. It's going to be Tuesday, May 7th, 10 a.m. for the Colorado River Basin webinar. And this information's on our webpage where you can navigate to register for these. And here, this is how you can get in touch with us. So our basin forecasters here on the left. So if you have a question about a specific area, you can find out who the focal point or the forecaster is for that area, and you can reach out. There's email addresses here. You can also get in touch with our on-duty lead forecaster for the day through this email address or this phone number. If you just have a general question for us, or they can pass you along to one of the forecasters if you have a specific basin question. And there's our webpage. Again, this webinar is being recorded. It'll be up on our webpage in the next couple hours. So with that, I'm gonna end there, and I'm gonna open it up for any questions. Again, you can type it into the question box within the webinar interface, or you can raise your hand and we can unmute you. So I'll open it up there for a little bit. I'm not seeing any hands raised at the moment, but we'll stick around for a bit longer if you have one. All right, I think we're gonna call it. So thanks for attending. And again, we have one of these next month, May 7th, same time. So we hope to see you then. Thanks.